Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dan York, and this is the York Woods. It's Easter Sunday. Kids are out of town. I thought, what a great day to relax and split some firewood. So today's the day we're going to start splitting this. That's that 90-foot oak tree that had fallen. That's kind of been my project to get to lately. So first things first, I've got to do some rearranging to my temporary woodshed. This is going to be changed here shortly. A lot of this is going to go into a different location once I've got another project coming that's been delayed several weeks now. But we're going to rearrange this a little bit so I can stack this oak tree up in this area here, at least to get it up off the ground, start seasoning, so it is ready for next year. So as this goes away next year, I can rearrange this, and this is going to be basically my personal firewood shed, and then the other area is going to be for my production. So stick along. We're going to move this around a little bit, and then we'll get to the tree, see how long it takes us to split that tree up. So currently this is where I keep a lot of my bundle grade stuff. I've got another stack over here. I've got a couple different stacks in different locations. As this new building comes in, I'm going to start consolidating everything, putting it in a little bit more organized. It's just kind of been one of those where I run through it whenever I can, where I can put it where I can put it, where it's convenient. Split fires changed a lot of that, so now we're going to see if we can get some more organization going on here. First things first, let's get the forks put on the tractor. So you have seen me use these before. If you have and I know I've said it before as well, if you have a small bucket tractor that you don't have a quick attachment for or set of forks, these are a great investment to go jump out and get. Super easy to put on, like you just saw. Handle a fair amount of weight. Don't overload your bucket, obviously, but for moving some small skids or just a stack of whatnot, great little accessory to your tractor. So just walk that off. That's roughly 10 feet from tote to tote. It's about 4 feet back, and the way these skids and railroad ties are set up, might be able to fit a little more in there. So you do the math, figure out how much I can stack up in here, but we're going to see how much of that 90-foot oak fits in this spot right here. So if you've done firewood for any time at all, you know you never have a good looking fire because you burn all the stuff that doesn't go into bundles. That's kind of what this is on both ends. I started doing this a while back, and I just pull out of these totes as needed for whenever I have a fire around here. But you kind of see what's going on here. This is where we're going to put some very pretty looking oak.
So the mobile setup's pretty easy. Just pull the pin here where my right hand was at. Pull the pin, open up the tongue lock, and then we're going to move over to the legs that are on both sides of the splitter. Basically just pull those pins, rock them down, and then at the end of it, pick up the tongue a little bit if you're on an uneven surface, and then just give it a little lift and you'll be standing tall. For the hydraulic lift, find your ram and then you'll unhook the pin. You're going to reuse that inside the ram, fold down the table, and then insert the pin that holds the table up, and you are ready to go.
So there's Abby. Her channel is The York Woods Wife. Feel free to go subscribe to her. And while we're on the topic of like and subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe, feel free to leave a comment. I love to read them.
So do I want to put them like that right here too?
Yeah. That's enough for right now. I want to stack that. Yeah, that's about all she wants. That's why you pay the big bucks for stuff. You know, I'd be here with my other splitter. According to the camera, that was 18 minutes at that point, so probably roughly 15 minutes. Roughly 15 minutes.
To do that much firewood.
Yep, even she has the leggings. Getting a pretty good dent in it. Abby's loading me up for another round. Majority of the tops are all taken out. Hello. Still not sure what I'm doing with that. All right, looks like this flip flyer is loaded. Let's get to work. So that is load number 3. 24 minutes with a little break in the middle because I smashed my finger. right, took a little break for lunch. Let's get back at it. All right, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. We're out. Measurement wise, that is 10 feet long. Every bit of, well, you see how high it is mounted over the tote. Better part of a cord, cut and split. One thing people don't talk about on that 1165V is how fuel efficient it is. I cut all of this in less than 1 tank of gas. So fuel efficiency is your thing. That is definitely something to consider, because roughly a quart for a gallon of gas, pretty nice. Thanks again for watching, everybody. My name is Dan York, and this has been the York Woods. If you like this kind of stuff, hit the like and comment buttons. Love it if you subscribed. At the end of the day, keep making big wood into little wood, and have a nice day.